Hello. Well, I'm doing interviews, and I wanted to show people the throngs of people that are walking towards me. But it's interesting. When there's a lot of people walking towards me, it's harder to get people to stop an interview. It's when there's less people out here, it's easier to get people to stop. That's kind of fascinating. Would you have any interesting...
the cameras.
I'm interviewing people for my hobby, which is called street epistemology. It's where you take a claim that someone makes because they think that it's true, and then question them in a respectful manner to see how they got there. How could you actually be so sure that ghosts are real? How could you actually be so sure that vaccines cause autism? How could you actually be sure that there's a higher power that is listening to your prayers, for example? Would you be interested in doing a short interview? I time it for 4 minutes.
Well, no one can be sure. Like, none of those questions can be answered.
It's amazing how many people, though, are dogmatic about it and say, I'm 100% sure that vaccines do cause autism, that there is a higher power, that, you know, that karma is real, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's funny how just asking a few questions can reveal the tenuous perch that people's beliefs are usually set on.
I'm up for the challenge.
You're up for the challenge?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would advise you to maybe look at it not so much as a challenge, but as a mental exercise. But sometimes it can be a challenging mental exercise. What's your first name?
Vanessa.
My name's Anthony. I'll just do a fist bump since you're eating. Can I ask you just to move in the shade just a bit so that I can put another camera on you while I interview you? Yeah?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Are you done with school now for the day, or you off to another class?
I was going to stop by, see if my director can have a quick meeting.
Oh, good. How do I spell your first name, Vanessa?
Vanessa.
Okay, cool. I don't want to take a lot of your time, so I'll set the timer for 4 minutes. And again, the idea here is to, not only pick a belief that you think is true, but motivate you to behave differently because you think that it's true. You know what I mean? Like, you'll actually light sage in your apartment to ward off those evil spirits, that type of thing. What do you think we can explore together?
Equity.
Equity. Equity.
Or the illusion of equity.
Before we go any further, I want to totally understand what your definition of equity is. And then maybe we can get into your claim about it. I want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Okay.
What does equity mean?
Equity, I think we're going to have to pick something in relation to a specific something. So equity in relation to epistemic justice.
Epistemic justice?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by epistemic justice?
So epistemic justice is your version of history being the core curriculum, my history being the elective. Positionality, you are a white male or white passing male. I am a native scholar. So the dominant narrative in my K through 12 and continuing education in the anthropology department has been predominantly from a white lens. So epistemic justice would be, instead of asking white anthropologists about these natives or indigenous people, would be actually asking the natives and the indigenous peoples to tell their story and accept it as truth. So, for instance, museums house Kachina ancestors. You might see them as Kachina dolls. So within a Native American epistemology, those are not dolls, and that's disrespectful. They are Kachina ancestors. But for indigenous peoples, and everything has a lifespan. Nothing is meant to be preserved. Everything runs its course and dies. So Kachina ancestors are basically being held captive in museums because the Pueblo epistemological standpoint is disregarded for the dominant epistemology of preserving Kachina ancestors for the sake of white people to exoticize them. That's epistemic justice.
That's awesome. That's a really good way of laying it out. I want to make sure I understand your example.
Pardon me for listening. I couldn't help but overhearing what you said. So, are you saying that in Native American culture, what we call dolls, they call Kachinas?
The Kachina ancestors. They're ancestors. They're not dolls. And they live lives, and then the what is it called? The elements take them. They have lives, and then they're supposed to deteriorate and move on. But for the sake of preservation, exoticism from a dominant white perspective, they're held captive in museums for the sake of preservation, which completely negates an entire epistemological standpoint.
Yeah, I think I follow you.
Culture. Oh, was that 4 minutes?
That was actually 4 minutes. And
awesome.
If you don't mind, I can interview you next, but I would like to kind of just do a one-on-one. And would that be okay? All right. It's a fascinating topic. Maybe we can talk about it afterwards. Do you have to go, or do you want to keep going? Do you really? Darn it. I'm so sorry that got disrupted, but thank you very much for your time.
Sure.
Can I offer you one of these 3 pieces?
Yeah.
Maybe you can come back for the other 2. There's no obligation at all to come back to fill the set, but
Sorry for the disruption. I didn't
that's
know
okay.
there was a time limit or something like that.
That's okay. Just so you know, I'm hoping to have 3 conversations with the same people, and I'd love to question you a little bit more about that topic.
Okay.
I don't usually get that topic, and I want to delve deeper into it, okay?
Okay, right on.
Thank you very much. Shit. Hi.
Hello.
Would you like to do an interview?
I guess so.
Okay, can you stand there?
Yeah.
I'll just set a timer for 4 minutes. What's your first name?